Game theory. I've watched game theory basically mostly for the FNAF videos to see what these guys put together. The smallest pieces of the Five Nights at Freddy's, tried to put the puzzle together and stuff. And they seem to be doing it all right, even if they make flaws at times. And I do read I do see other theories from time to time. I haven't seen a lot of it. And MatPat has guest starred in The Completionist for FNAF 3 and 4. I, I didn't watch much game theorist videos. So maybe it'd be a nice change of pace. Like, does anybody want to see people react to game theory? I haven't watched much of it, so let's get this started. Oh, crap. Police seek Spider-Man. Amazing Spider-Girl swing back to action.
With Marvel modernizing Spider-Man as much as they did in Homecoming, I wonder what J. Jonah Jameson and the Daily Bugle will look like. Fantasy crossfaded dream sequence. We have literal aliens attacking us from the skies, blonde guys claiming to be gods, and the Jolly Green Giant running amok. And you want to expect me to start trusting Spider-Man? We have footage of him fighting members from the Avengers. Speaking of the Avengers, by the way, you too can have the strength of an Avenger with J. Jonah's joint juice. Organic, all natural, and most importantly, all American. Except for all that stuff we imported from China. Only $19.99 a case. Buy it now. Hello, Internet. Welcome to Game Theory, where, let's be honest, in the world of Marvel, conspiracy theory shows like ours would be huge. Between superhero billionaires, alien threats, and masked vigilantes, can you imagine the questions that would be running through everyone's heads? Who are these people? What are their goals? Am I, myself, in danger? And there we'd be, conspiracy theory. Every week picking apart the evidence, revising our guesses, and ultimately trying to expose who these people are. It'd be like the purple guy mystery all over again, except in real life, without all that messy serial killer nonsense. Sadly, I can't bring my dead memes and half-baked theories to the Marvel masses, but they get something even better. J. Jonah Jameson. You see, a few weeks ago I started looking into Spider-Man's iconic newspaper, the Daily Bugle, for a script, but then the new Spider-Man game came out. And now I just can't unhear J. Jonah screaming, "He's a menace to the entire city! I want Spider-Man!"
I want a new prophet!
And what started out as a film theory on journalistic ethics became this, a script all about how J. Jonah is undoubtedly the single biggest hero of this PS4 exclusive game. You heard me right, biggest hero in a game featuring Spider-Man. Now sure, JJJ may not seem like the most ethical guy at first, seemingly driven only by the desire to sell more issues. Or, I suppose in this new game, get more people to download his podcast?
Welcome to Just the Facts with J. Jonah Jameson.
And the way he goes about this might seem at first a bit underhanded, by bad-mouthing the good deeds of our friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
I know all I need to about Spider-Man. He runs around causing chaos, wearing a mask so he doesn't have to answer for his shenanigans, and a flashy costume so he gets attention to feed his gigantic, insatiable ego.
But when you stop and actually look at what's happening in this story, J. Jonah not only proves himself to be ethical, he might just be the only person with a solid head on his shoulders in this universe, even if that does mean slandering good old Spidey.
I resent that. Slander is spoken. In print, it's libel.
Yeah, I know it is, JJ. In the new game, you have a conspiracy radio show. Slander here is the accurate term. So get ready, because today we're covering all the news that's fit to print for this new game. So if you haven't finished webbing up every last baddie in town, this is your last chance to escape before you get tangled up in a web of spoilers.
Don't worry, I completed Spider-Man for the PS4, and I'm not gonna play it until I get around to it when I get a game capture card. I'll tackle Spider-Man for the PS4 soon, but for now, let me react to stuff and then get back to getting a game capture card so I can start reviewing video games.
Now, first and foremost, if you haven't played the game yet, I highly recommend it. Even if you don't have a PS4, I bet you got some friends who go to sleep early and have lackluster security systems.
Game theory does not condone breaking into a friend's house to play a game. At no point should you learn your friend's brand of security system, Google its reset security protocol, invite yourself over for a casual play session to only disappear to the bathroom of the guys of squeezing one off. To instead use said default code to reset the system and program in your own code, thereby getting control of the house only to subsequently return later in the evening to play the game.
Here's what you need.
No point.
What is that game?
Should you learn your friend's brand of security system, Google its reset security protocol, invite yourself over for a casual play session to only disappear to the bathroom of the guys of squeezing one off. To instead use said default code to reset the system and program it.
What is that game? If anybody knows what that game is, leave that down in the comments. That seems really interesting. Even if it's just another one of those pipe puzzle things. Leave that down in the comments below if you know what that is.
In your own code, thereby getting control of the house only to subsequently return later in the evening to play the game.
Here's what you need to know. At the beginning of the game, Peter Parker's been Spider-Manning it up for about 8 years, and he's seen his fair share of supervillains. Electro, the Scorpion, Rhino, and Vulture are all sitting behind bars. Peter no longer works for the Daily Bugle, but instead has himself a job working for Dr. Otto Octavius, a brilliant scientist whose fate is immediately obvious from the first second you see him in the game.
It's fine, Parker. I invented this equipment. I think I can handle it.
One poor equipment check later, and there's a power malfunction, which in turn results in Mayor Norman Osborn cutting funding for Doc Ock's project. That couldn't lead to the creation of a new supervillain, could it? Meanwhile, across town, Aunt May is working for a man named Martin Lee, a philanthropist who's working on a charity project who, surprise, surprise, also happens to be a supervillain waiting to happen. When Spider-Man arrests the crime baron Wilson Fisk, aka Kingpin, it creates a power vacuum in the city that's too large to ignore. Lee, now the supervillain Mr. Negative, unleashes an army of demons upon the city, and Spider-Man goes out there to clean them up. And just when you think he's done it, Doc Ock reappears, now thoroughly insane, and releases all the other supervillains that Spider-Man had captured. Oh yeah, and he also unleashes a super virus known as Devil's Breath. So I'd say that there's a lot going on in New York during the course of this game, but through it all, one voice cuts through. J. Jonah Jameson.
Keep a close eye on that barista with the man bun making your skinny latte.
Alright, so Jameson is easy to paint as a minor villain in the Spider-Man universe. Since we see the world from Peter Parker's point of view, Jameson appears to be a rage-fueled fearmongerer who's looking to sell more papers and get more listeners by spreading lies through his clickbaity stories and tinfoil hat anti-Spider-Man conspiracies. He clearly has a vendetta against the web-slinger.
Just imagine what sort of deviant personality would dress up like that in the first place. A webbed pervert walks among us!
Meanwhile, in Spider-Man stories, and particularly in this game, we know that Spider-Man is good. We see his struggles and his tough moral choices. So Jameson taking pictures of him just to slander his good name is disgusting and exploitative and disingenuous, especially for someone who supposedly claims that he's a journalist with integrity and tells his audience that he reports the news.
This is Just the Facts with J. Jonah Jameson, where listeners like you discuss the issues affecting our city with Pulitzer Prize winning two-time Pulitzer Prize winning former publisher of the Daily Bugle.
Hey, plug the book.
But if we stop looking at the world from Spider-Man's point of view and instead from an outsider looking in, Jameson isn't actually all that bad. Let's start by addressing Jameson's main claim, that Spider-Man is a villain. From our near-omniscient worldview in these stories, Spider-Man does seem like an obvious hero, saving people from fires, punching out bad guys, getting all romantic with the lady folk. We also know that he's just a young, nerdy kid with the best of intentions. But then look at this. Oh, did you see that kick to the guy's lower back? Now his body just folds over in response. Being slammed forcefully into the pavement and landing on your head and neck? Pretty sure that's gonna be fatal.
It's video game logic, Mad Pat!
Or at the very least paralyze him. Swinging around a riot shield like that? That is a ballistic riot shield that weighs in at around 16 to 20 pounds, and Spider-Man is just clubbing people with it. Even if these are criminals, think about the injuries they must have when they're being arrested. Debilitating injuries, lifelong injuries. Does that really instill heroic confidence in the guy who captured them?
It is not helping when a vigilante leaps into the middle of a crime scene or emergency situation with no training, expertise, or public identity. What if he injures someone? Who holds him accountable?
That's really the problem with masked vigilantes, isn't it? That's the whole reason the MCU tackled the Sokovia Accords back in Civil War, to ask the question of what happens when you hold heroes accountable for their actions. I mean, think about it this way. Remember how the public in Batman v Superman got all up in arms about Batman literally branding criminals? Well, here's Spider-Man actively breaking faces, necks, and limbs. What else could J. Jonah think? Well, everyone is looking at Spider-Man like he's a hero. J. Jonah is right to question the mental stability of someone who puts themselves in harm's way to fight crime, and then the criminals he captures come back on the verge of death. And when
It's video game logic. You're making him a criminal because of video game logic.
Spider-Man openly says stuff like this,
Morning, guys. Who's ready for their hot, fresh cup of bodily harm?
it doesn't inspire much confidence, especially in a universe where a regular guy dressed as Spider-Man is able to cause injuries like this.
My doppelganger's got some skills.